We are now recording. Meeting in progress. This is a try hack me walkthrough. We're going to run a virtual environment. I already have spun up Kali Linux. This exercise is a demonstration in pen testing tools using Windows and exploiting a Windows machine. So we're going to start this right about now. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I already have it up. What you will see is, here we go. So I've got my virtual machine right here. This is the cursor. This is the Kali operating system, courtesy of tryhackme.com. This is the web page with the instructions on exactly how to go through this exercise. So we're going to deploy and hack into a Windows machine leveraging common misconfiguration issues. And just in case you get a little like backed up or whatever, there's a walkthrough, there's an actual video. I've actually completed this before, so I'm going to go through it again just to get some more practice and see how we do. So first thing we want to do is we want to scan the machine that we're running. So it recommends using nmap, which is a perfect option. So what I'm going to do is, here's our target. This is the IP address I'm going to work on, or actually that I'm going to target for most of my tests and this exploit exercise. So just so we have this, I'm going to copy, boom, and now it should be able to be on the virtual machine. Now we got a command prompt, so here we go. I'm going to go ahead and I got that IP address, so I'm going to run nmap. It's always to know some of the switches. I know some. SC, B, verbose, and technically a port scan one would be good too, like -P, P-P. But I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to just do this. And then paste selection. Oh, it didn't do it. Interesting. Okay, well, 10.10.131.140. So it's going to run the nmap scan. And what this is going to do, nmap, Network Mapper, is a great tool because what it does is it scans that IP address, this IP address right here, our target. It scans the that IP address's network, searching for vulnerabilities, which usually are in the form of like open ports, some of the stuff that you'll get information from is you can find out about the machine information, the target machine that you're targeting and stuff. And I'll just make sure I got that right. All right, cool. So it's a good tool. Just running through this. Go back to the nmap. 44% saying that there's one host out. Some of the command switches take a little bit longer because it is literally going and selecting. And I can actually run while I'm doing this. Let's open up another shell and we'll do nmap -h. It should give us all the help switches. See, now we know right here, this is all the information we need on nmap. And one of the cool things about it, what I've learned is when you run -H, this TAC H is basically invoking its help screen. It's giving a lot of the useful information on what kind of scans to use. You can specify by target, you can specify by host discovery, and see what we were trying to do. We needed to do for this is we're going to scan the machine, but it doesn't say what by. So what we can target specific parts of the machine, IP address, hostname networks. We can do host discovery, ping scan, treat all hosts as online, skip host discovery. These are really important. And then the scan techniques. These are important because it grabs information from the different frame, what do you call it? Different parts of the TCP process and stuff, and it'll run different scans on, looking for open ports, and usually, there we go. And then if we wanted to specify port, there we go, S version. So this is what I wanted because I wanted to probe open ports and to determine what service they're using, what version they're using. So that's why I did the SV probe, and SC was a script scan to see if there's any scripts or files that could be used or exploited later on. I believe that's what that is for. So it takes a little bit of time, but we'll go back to the shell, see what's up. We're done. So now that we've done our scan, and we found with the SC and SV tags, we found a lot of information. We see that there's definitely more than one port open. We've got 1, 2, 3, and look at all these that are open. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got, all right. So for the sake of this exercise, this is important. Windows 7 Professional Service Pack 1, Microsoft DS. All right. That means more than likely, and it's running, it's open, it's running on 445, so that's more than likely the SMB. And if I go down here, I could be wrong about that, but go down here, you see that, yes, it is SMB OS Discovery. So what we find out is that we've already found out the computer name is John. It's a lot of information that we've got just from the nmap scan. Computer name is John. We've got the work group, system time, very important information, the NetBIOS computer name, another the operating system, and the OSCP. These are very important because we're going to use this to exploit the system. How do I know that? Because I've done this already. So, how many ports are open under 1,000? Let's count that. Let's see how many ports are open under 1,000. And so we've got, out of all these ports open, these are way over 1,000. These are over 1,000. And we've got 445, 139, 135. Boom. So that's 3 ports that we already found that are open under 1,000. What is this vulnerable to? Machine vulnerable to? Okay, so, and that's a good question. We want to find out what that is. What do they mean by that? So click on that. Revealed by shadow brokers, exploits an issue with SMB version 1. So are they using SMB version 1? Well, it's possible they're using Windows 7 Professional Service Pack 1. So what other important information can we get from this? Security mode, gas level user. So the interesting thing is you find out that right here, and let me switch back for a moment. Stop sharing the screen. All right, resuming. Let's get back to that shared screen because what I'm going to do is switch back to my page open. And it's important I show what is going on. I go back to the pen test. Here we go. All right, so we did find information that was great. What I'm looking for now is let me figure out what my next step is. I don't want to do too much yet, but I'm sitting on a gold mine right here with all this information. And what is good about this is now that we've got the information we've completed, we've done the scan, we know that there's 3 ports open under 100, under 1,000. Machine is, we don't know exactly what the machine is vulnerable to yet, but we know that there's something important about the fact that this is run in Service Pack 1. What I can do at this point is do a, let's see if I'm gonna open up Firefox and I'm gonna search. I'm gonna do just a Google search of the Service Pack 1, Windows 7. So let's see. Let me get go back. Need to get into that shell again. Okay, so where is it? Blah, 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 blah. I want to find out the operating system. You know, I'm obviously not a pro, so this is the fun part. Taking some time, going through this really slowly. All right, here we go. OS, Windows 7 Professional, Service Pack 1, 6.1. I'm going to take this. Google's going to be my best friend in this instance. And I am going to okay, agree. Okay, the first thing that came up, Eternal Blue SMB. Okay, all right, so that's the vulnerability right there. How do I know? Let's click on it, figure it out. I mean, the second thing, CVE details, is very good too. It's a very good website to check out. So this right here is what comes up. And it's ironic. We might be onto something, obviously, because Eternal Blue. And if you point back to the page we're working on, look at this little icon, Eternal Blue. So I think we're onto something. So let's read this. It says MS17 minus 010 Eternal Blue SMB remote Windows kernel pool corruption. Okay. So the module is port of the equation group Eternal Blue exploit, part of the Fuzz Bunch toolkit released by Shadow Brokers. Okay, cool. We know Shadow Brokers because that was in the question, in the hint. Revealed by the Shadow Brokers. Boom. Got it. That's good. So let's see what's up with this. You really read and get all that good information. But we know something about this, and here's how to use this module. And this is very, very important because we are going to do this. So the module options, display module options, you have to be in a command prompt and you have to use this thing right here called MSF. What is that? It is called the Metasploit framework. So now that we've found out that that is the exploit, MS17 Eternal Blue, we just type that in and of course it'll come up correct. So we'll move on to the next. Start Metasploit. Here's where it gets fun. Boom. So I'm gonna get back into the Dell environment and I'm gonna run MSF console. Wait for that to spin up. Takes a little bit. And while this is going, we can read some more information. So find, I'm gonna run Metasploit. Here it is. It's coming up. All right. Now, you know you're in the Metasploit console because not only is this cute little graphic come up, but the prompt changes from the previous prompt, which was the root directory that we are in. I'll show you in a second. Where is it? There. So root, we were in root Cali, which is the root directory of the operating system, and now we are inside Metasploit framework. So now we're working directly in this application called Metasploit. What is Metasploit? I don't know. So well, I do know. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. The cool thing about Metasploit is it says what it does a little bit in the title, exploit. You can use it to exploit different operating system or different targets and use different type of exploits. One that we will be messing with very soon. So find the exploitation code that will run under this machine. What's the full path of the code? So the way to find that out, you could do, and this is really cool. I like to do search and just the name of the exploit, MS 17 underscore 010 eternal blue. And I'm pretty sure if I just did search eternal blue, it would come up as well. Boom. So now that it shows the modules that we're looking for or that we may be looking for, what's the one that we're going to run on against the machine, and see SMB Windows. This is it right here. The eternal blue Windows kernel pool corruption. So it's the first one. The second one is for Windows 8. We don't need that. And so the cool thing about that, now that we know what the module is, what I'm going to do is I don't have to type all that information. Like we need, it says find the path. What's the full path of the code? This is the full path right here. So the full path, exploit, oops, let me do that a little bit better. Exploit Windows SMB MS 171010 or 010 eternal blue. So what that's now that we've written the path down, and just to make sure that I know what I'm talking about, search MS. See, that's cool because using this shows that I didn't have to be as specific when I ran the search inside Metasploit. Metasploit is smart enough that if you just do keyword or the two first letters MS, it's going to show possibly what Metasploit, what matching modules. I didn't do that though. I would rather just put in the full path because it's a little easier, and it might come up when you just do MS. It might just show up a ton, and then you'll have to go through the other options looking or scroll through looking for it. So it's a little easier. But when you're inside the module, you've actually found the module, you can just say use and then the the description number right here. You just, so use 0, boom. And automatically it says no payload configured, defaulting to Windows x64 interpreter reverse TCP. We'll discover what that means later. So show options and set the one required value. All right, so now that we've set this module, return a blue. That's what we're going to be using. A lot, very good practice, best practices. Go show options, boom, and it shows all the options that are available for that module. Some of these will be blank, and it's very important that we look and see which ones are blank because some of these need to be customized. We're going to want to put the information in, important information like the target is going to be, we need to set that as, we need to set the R host name with the IP address of the target. So very easy to do. You just say, use the set value. And so going back to the directions, I know I'm going ahead of myself. The show options and set the one required value. What's the name of this value? All caps for submission. So we look and see, got a listening host, listening port. And this is the, that's pretty important. It's got an R port and R hosts is blank. So like I was saying, something about that may need to be filled out. So when we showed the options, we see that R hosts is the blank value. So we're going to need to set that. How do you set that? Really cool. You just set it with the set option. So right here, set R hosts. What's the IP address for our target? Our target's IP is 10.10.131.140. So setting our hosts and hit enter. Our host has been set as indicated by this right here. Our hosts with the address of our target. Now, just to make sure we went through, I'm going to go show options. And immediately we have a new addition in the table. Now we've set the R hosts to our target. Boom, that's the target IP address right here, target IP address and R hosts. So now we're good to go as far as that. Next, it says, usually it would be fine to run this exploit as is. However, for the sake of learning, you should do one more thing before exploiting the target. Enter the following and press enter. Enter the following command and press enter. Set payload Windows x64 shell, reverse TCP. That done, run the exploit. Okay, so they say do that. And yes, technically, we've got our R host set, so this exploit will run just fine. But what they want us to do is set a payload. So let's look at what payloads are available. And I forget how to, I think it's search payloads. Boom. So these are all the payloads that are available, 72. We don't have to go through all those, but it's best practices if you're going to run a module to look and see what payloads are available on that module, because you might just want to run none, a lot of the exploits sometimes won't work. So it's great to go into the into this and search the payloads because it actually has a ranking system too. The very end of the column, you'll see low, normal, manual, normal, excellent, great. Those are the ones you want to run because the higher, the better the rank, the better chances that will run. So specifically, we want to look for x64 shell reverse TCP. I don't really want to go through all this, but I'm going to go through it. I could have easily found it by just running through the search again. So if I go search, we'll do search payload. Windows x64. This one still comes up. Looks like I didn't that command. Oh, wait, there it is. There it is. It took a little slow. There it is. Okay, so now we've got, and the cool thing about the search is it highlights the keyword. So all of these will find the specific keywords that we search for will show up. And I see reverse TCP right here. So if I really wanted to, I could say use 968. So x64 shell reverse TCP. That's literally 968. So and now, since I chose that, automatically my prompt changes Windows x64 shell reverse TCP. And that's exactly what we were looking for the payload Windows x64 shell reverse TCP. So now that that's running, or now that that is engaged and connected, we can do run, you can hit run or hit exploit, it doesn't matter. Oh, I guess you have to use exploit. Okay, so I ran into a little, let's see, there's a little fire. Do one more. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna go back to get out of that payload. I'm back now. I'm back into the regular MS. What do you call it? The home screen for Metasploit. And since I may have made a mistake, I want to go back and just check a little bit. I'm going to reset my information. But the cool thing is tab. I could use tab completion to help me out here. Okay, that's search that I want to run. Okay, I'm going to use 0. And now I'm going to have to do it all over again because when I set the R hosts, let's see, show options, it's not going to be there because I did not make it a global setting. Oops. Show options. Oh, wow. Surprisingly, it is. It's still in there. That's cool. All right. Right on. I was wrong. So running that exploit. Now let's see. I'm going to do exactly what this says. Set payload windows. Set. Because I think what I did was I got out of Eternal Blue. X64 is the number. Shell. All right. So just make sure set payload Windows x64 shell reverse TCP. Good. Now the payload is set correctly. Now I should be able to run it. There we go. We're in business. So now this vulnerability is actually running on the target system. What does that mean? We shall see. Confirm that this exploit has run correctly. You may have to press enter for the DOS shell to appear. Control Z if it failed. Oh, I know it ran. It's running right now. So we got to wait a couple minutes for it to continue. Okay, so it looks like, and it's really interesting to read the progress as it goes. I see fail. that's not a good thing, right? You think, oh, great. So it's not working. That's just one attempt on one part of this exploit. So it's going to continue going because it's literally that's what it does. Um, and eventually we should see green and it should say pass. And when it does that, the I can hit enter or whatever, and the DOS shell will show up. There's also a way to background this if I don't want to watch all this happening, but it's cool to watch it happen. So right now we are actually running the exploit on a target system. We've gained access. Here we go. Win. Okay, cool. Yeah, we've gained access. We are now at a Windows prompt. The prompt has completely changed to C Windows System 32. So we are in. We've gained access to exploit this Windows machine. We've gained access to it just by running an exploited, a known exploited, what do you call it, path or whatever, called Eternal Blue, or a known exploited, I don't know what the word is. Pardon my lack of jargon. But we are in. So we know that we don't have to control Z. We can, oh yeah, we can background the shell. Oh yeah, that's actually a good idea. You may have to press enter for the DOS shell to appear, background the shell. So we'll do control Z. Run session, yes. So now it's backgrounded, and how do I know that? Sessions, boom, we got a shell. That's the session running. And if I wanted to interact with that, I could just do sessions. Actually, another cool thing is if you don't know something, let's try it. Sessions H. Oops. I keep taking that S off at the end. Now we've got all the help information or pertinent information to using the sessions. Usage, sessions, options, or sessions, and ID. So to run the commands, well, actually, one of the important things we're looking at right here, to interact with the supplied ID session, I would use the I minus I option. So sessions minus I. And that would allow me to interact with that shell that we just backgrounded. So now let's go. We've gotten through step. We're in the computer. So this is cool. We've done some stuff. We finished our recon, the reconnaissance. We've gained access through the getting that exploiting that Eternal Blue through the SMB port, which is really cool. Now it's time to escalate. So we've already, let's see what it says. If you haven't already background previously gained session, research online how to convert a shell to interpreter in Metasploit. What is the name of the post module we will use? Exact path. So this is another important thing. They say research. So Google is your best friend. Shell to interpreter. Let's figure out what does that mean? Just like we went here and found out the exploit, let's do it again. I don't know if it's interpreter or meterpreter. Some people say meterpreter, some people say interpreter. I kind of like saying meterpreter. So shell to interpreter, I believe that's what I was supposed to do. Oops, oops, oops. Let's be a little bit more exact. Underscores. There we go. How to upgrade shell interpreter. And so the cool thing about this, what I'm doing is I'm using online resources to help me gain access to a target machine, upgrade my access or escalate my access, and possibly, manipulate the system. Right now, I've gotten access, so I got my foot in the door. I'm in the door, basically. That's serious when it comes to network penetration. So now we're going to read how to upgrade a command shell interpreter. In network penetration testing, we always wish to hack a system, internal network, and try make unauthorized access through an interpreter session using metasploit framework, which is exactly the framework that we are currently in our machine. And that is actually how we've gotten access. But there are some exploits which directly provide victim command shell instead of an interpreter shell, or instead of the interpreter sets. In this article, we have tried to upgrade from the victim shell to an interpreter shell. Now, once we have access to the victim's command shell, follow the steps given below to upgrade the shell to the interpreter shell. Okay, cool. All right, so what we need to do, it looks like, what's sessions? He did sessions. That's the shell that he's in. So now we use -U option for upgrading our shell into interpreter. Execute the following command: sessions U -1. So let's see if our sessions -U, and then is it 1? Yeah. Oh, I didn't get kicked out of the shell, did I? Shouldn't have. Okay, wait. I think I got kicked out because I should not be looking at that. Okay, cool. Yeah, great. Brain fart. We're back. Unknown command session. Why is it doing that? Okay, so normally that should work. Exact path similar to. So here's where, let me see. Post. This module we can load. Do you want to use? And your answer is yes. Run and show options. Okay, so we need to change the sessions because session is blank. So right here, module path, where the options we need to change session. So set the required options, list all the sessions to find your target here. Okay, so there's my shell. All right, I am going to go switch real quick. Going to. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm in this shell. I've upgraded to the shell team interpreter session. Um, just to make sure that I know that I'm doing it right, I'm going to take some time and listen to the tutorial because the tutorial actually helps big time. And because I've gotten so far in, I don't want to make a mistake and then have to do it all over again. So let's go ahead and listen to the tutorial and see how they set up this exploit or actually upgrade to interpreter shell.
But it's good to understand. But turn ahead and selected that. Let's see what sessions we need, what settings we need to set. In this specific case, and you can see this for question number 2, we were required to change the session setting. This is telling me what session we're actually.
Okay, so let me show that in the interpreter session. I'm in the shell interpreter, so show options. Once again, what do we need to set? Session is blank right there. So boom, sessions blank. What I'm going to do, and so what option is required to change session? So set the required option. You may need to list all the sessions in your target here. And this is what I'm curious about, so I'm going to listen to exactly what he says. We'll see what we need to do.
Upgrade.
Okay, so basically the command from here is just session. So it appears, and let's see, did it say in the let's list all the sessions first. Did he set the session by just set? Okay, so let's figure this out. So in the video, he did set session 1, run. Okay, cool. I got it now. So what we're going to do, since there's only one session set, we write that out the way it's supposed to. I just want to do verbatim, make it easier. Set session 1. Now that that is set, run. All right, let's do it. So we did sessions -I. We didn't really need to do that, but I already said it. That was the thing that I forgot. Sessions -I. Here's the session ID, session 1 that we just set. So now we know that when you do set session, that's the session right here. That's the name, process. I believe it's, I don't know. I mean, yeah, set session 1 would be this ID. So that's the shell that we have that's active already. Now that it's open, and now that we have everything set, we can run it and see what happens. Okay, so now it's upgrading to session ID. Here we go. Looks like it is letting us into Meterpreter. Okay, so it's gonna, this is in the process of upgrading. It's upgrading. Once the Meterpreter shell conversion completes, select that session for use. Okay, Meterpreter session 2 opened. So how are we going to figure out if it completed? Session number. Contact lenses are killing me. So while this is running, let me see if what we got over here. What is this?
This is going to attempt to upgrade our session from just a normal. Take a moment. From just a normal Windows command line to Meterpreter. That's going to give us a lot more functionality.
It's looking like we're at the same place.
So we should have a second one here, which we can see. System at John PC.
All right, let's check that out. So stop the exploit. Okay, cool. And what was that we needed to look at to find out what sessions are open? Yep, now we have a new session open right here, Meterpreter x86, Windows NT authority system at John PC. Look at that. So, as most hackers like to say in the movies, we're in. Now, what do we do from this point? So, list all the processes running via the PS command. Just because we are system doesn't mean our process is. Find a process toward the bottom of this list that is running as NT authority system and write down that process ID. Okay, so how do we list the processes? Right? Like, how do we do that? I will figure that out. We will find out by using this great tutorial because we're learning.
One thing that's important, we are running at a 64-bit interpreter, and our shell was 32-bit interpreter rather, and our shell was a 64-bit. That's usually indicative that we're attacking a 64-bit system, and that's going to cause problems later down the line. But we can go ahead and tackle that in a moment. Session here using sessions I and that number 2 for the session that we've done upgraded.
Okay, so sessions, tech, I, and 2. So now we're interacting with 2, and look at that, our shell is changed to Meterpreter. So this is cool, and if I remember correctly, now that we're actually in, we're interacting with with number 2, with the NT system. Okay. Background this shell afterwards and select the measures for usage again. Look at all the processes running on NT. So we've done this just because the system means we're going to find a process toward the bottom that's running NT authority system and write it down. Oh, there's a spool service, which is pretty important right there. Service host, PowerShell. So let's see what is important according to this.
A little bit different prompt here. This is the interpreter prompt that we actually want to be working with. So list all the sessions to find your target here. Run if this doesn't work, try completing the exploit from the previous task once more. So sometimes your upgrade won't necessarily go as planned, and it just means that your previous shell might not have been the greatest, and it might not have completed actually proccing in that specific case. Once the interpreter shell conversion completes, select that session for use. We've gone ahead and so verify that we've escalated to an
and broadcasting again. Let's go back. Let's listen.
we can do that in the actual session information. We can also check that with the get UID command, which is going to tell us that for NT system,
I forgot.
which on Windows system you are got.
So let's try that. Yeah, let's get UID. Oh, oops. There we go. NT system, NT authority system. That is exactly where we want to be.
So pretty cool. And you can either do this in the UID command, which is a little bit easier, or you can drop down to a shell Windows command prompt, and we're still system authority. Let's go ahead and we'll back around that channel so we can get back to our interpreter session.
Right.
On verify that we've upgraded. Yep, we're at that. However, what we're going to go ahead and do, because the session that we started out with, that's not always the most stable. We're going to go ahead and migrate to a more stable process.
Yes.
It's also going to match the architecture of our system.
Yes.
This is important because we're going to be dumping password hashes from the system by interrogating the LSAS process. If we don't match the architecture of that process, we can't talk to it. Let's go ahead and list out our processes now, though, because this will give us targets that we can actually migrate to. So growing up, see that we have all the processes running on the system. So here on this left column, it's going to be realistically what we care about the most is the process ID. Now, I love migrating to the spool service process. This is the printer process, and it always comes with NT system authority, and will always match the architecture of the system. Also, if you kill this, it will reach and won't break your system, hopefully. So we're going to be migrating to 1276. That might vary a little bit.
Yeah, it's 1268 on this system. So,
however, it's always going to be roughly that number. Migrate that command and then process ID.
Oh, 68. Migrate 1268.
Equivalent or higher permissions than the process that you're migrating to. In this case, we're migrating
migration
from
complete.
system we have NT system authority in to another process that is NT system authority, so we keep our permission level the same. If you migrate down, you can't go back up. It's just a moment. Sometimes this can fail. Typically, it's pretty good to us, especially with those spool services.
And it worked in this.
Gone ahead and migrated to verify. Still our system. However, now we are living in
Yep.
We've gone ahead and migrated. That is that last item here. Now, since we've
so let's see, going back to all the questions and questionnaire. Wow. Escalate NT. We did that. Get system. Confirm this. I just did get UID. We did the list of all the processes using the PS command, and we migrated using migrate and the process ID, which was 1268. Or no, was it 1268? This is the spool service. I believe it was 1268. Yeah. So we migrated to that now. It didn't actually take it all that many attempts, which is awesome. Yeah, so now let's go into the next cracking. Let's get cracking. Okay, so dump the non-default user's word and crack it. So it's really cool what I'm doing. At this point, just to recap, right? The first step in this whole exercise was reconnaissance. The way we began this, I think I have it on the other shell. Where is it? Oh, that's our current one. Excuse me. What I did was we ran nmap. We did an nmap scan, which is technically reconnaissance. We haven't captured any flags yet, but what we wanted to do was we're running a scan on the target system to see if there's any open vulnerabilities. We found the scan specifically that I chose was down here, um, looking for specific versions to find out to find out information on what versions were available and the services available. And then I did a script scan, the default script scan, which looks for specific um, information, specific data regarding our target system. When that came through, got all that information, we found out exactly how many ports were open. We searched a vulnerability. We found MS010 or MS17010, Eternal Blue. We gained access by basically uh, using that exploit setting, putting in the proper settings, which is setting the service host. Yeah, come in. All right, I'm in the middle of teaching. Love you too. Resumed. We're back. So we're actually using NT Authority system. This is the fun part. We've gained access. Pardon me, I just had my dinner. Now we're gonna get we've escalated too, which is fun. What was the last step that I did? Migrating the process, that's right. Migrated from that not really unstable, but not so stable process that we got into to a different process, which is going to last for this exercise, which is good. And I chose the spool service, which was always running. That's a always trusted service to be running. So let's get cracking with our elevated metapredator shell. Run the command hash dump. This will dump all of the passwords on the machine as long as we have the correct privileges to do so. What is the name of the non-default user? So let's see what hash dump does. Okay, so now we have the hashes of the administrator, the guest, and the user. What is the name of the non-default user? Right here, John. Boom. Copy this hash to a file and research how to crack it. There's so many cool things. Right here, as you can see, I already have it set up. That's on my system. CrackStation online hash cracking. It does MD5, SHA-1, Rainbow Tables, Linux, etc. So we're going to go to that one. We're going to go to, and I'm going to run up and go to. Or you could just do like, boom, hash cracking. What comes up? Crackstation.net. So we're going to grab that hash that we just saw, which I did not do. So let's go back into the shell. Wrong shell. Go into the correct shell. So this is the ID. And everything after that, colon. And before the other dots. So try that. Copy. Oh crap, I forgot. You don't want to do that. Interrupt. Use the exit command to quit. So I didn't want to do that. So copy selection. Go back into my shell or into the website. Hash dump. Boop. Say I'm not a robot. Cool. Let's see if we can crack that hash. Now it says unknown, unrecognized format. Probably because I took out some of those dots. So I'm gonna go back to that shell. Yeah, I messed up. So right here, I'm going to copy selection, go back to crack station, come in that copy, and we will paste. It may ask me to take out some things, so this is also pretty important. What happens if I do this? Eventually, oh, I'm not a robot, so fire hydrant. Boom, boom, boom. Really? Oh man, this is annoying. It's gonna keep me. Am I missing something? All right. I really don't want to have to do that again, so I'm just gonna delete these colons and hit crack hashes. Let's hope for it's not working for some reason. There we go. Motorcycles. Doot, doot. I don't think there's a motorcycle in there. Oh. Crack station doesn't want to work. So looks like there's another way to do it too. Let's see what tutorial says.
We can go ahead and do a little cracking. So next, we're going to go ahead and use the command hash dump in Meterpreter. This is going to pull all of the password hashes off the system along with the user ID here. So here we can see our first question is actually, what is the name of the non-default user, which is our actual user on the system, because these two accounts, the administrator and guest, are both into Windows. So we know it's John user is our non-default, and the actual person that probably uses this. So here we've gone ahead and dumped the password hash for John. You can see if I jump over to my third tab here that I've gone ahead and saved that in this john.hash file.
Oh, that's a good idea.
It does match with what we just saw, so we can go ahead and use that for cracking. Now, if we go ahead.
Okay, here we go. I need to realize something. Let's see if I'm just gonna look again. You have to be very specific, and sometimes I'm not because I want to rush through things. John, okay, it looks legit. It's still unrecognized.
And attempt to crack it, we can use this.
Okay, so hash cracking is crack station isn't working. Alas, it's not the problem. It's not a big deal because I can follow these directions. Okay, so he put it in a. He actually has a hash file.
Command, which
Yeah, I see what he did. Okay, so yeah, it's not recognizing. Okay, so crack station is not working.
John the Ripper to attempt that. So it's going to be John, then your actual hash file, then the format that we're attacking, which this is an NTE format for the password, and then your word list. We're not going to do show because we want to actually crack that. So we can go ahead and start that. So see that it's gone ahead and actually cracked because I've previously run this. And then do show. So you can see.
Okay. So for the purpose of this exercise, we've got to the cracking part. I'm going to stop here because I need to do a little bit more studying to get this hash part. I'm not the best at hash cracking, and it's something that I really need to work on. However, I love the fact that through this exercise, we are able to understand exactly how the penetration process, testing process is done using important applications like Network Mapper. And then after we gain access, we actually, after we do our recon, we find the important information on the system. We search for specific system specific exploitations, and once we find those, we open up the metasploit framework, which is really cool. And in doing so, once you open up the metasploit framework, it gives you a whole bunch of options to actually search for payloads, use that exploit that we found, um, go ahead and make some settings within the actual exploit so that we can gain access to a target computer. And after we gain access to the target computer, we do some escalations. And what that escalation is, we have successfully gotten into that computer using the vulnerability, the exploited service, although the shell might not be stable. So we search for another usable search or usable shell, doing a PID search, and we found spool services, which is awesome because it's running and it's pretty stable. We upgraded our module from the original shell that we got into to interpreter shell using the spool service. And that is right here, migrating from 2104 to 1268 NT authority system. And then what we started to do once we got access is what you can do is once you've literally escalated privileges, gotten yourself in, you get the information about the users and stuff, which is dumping the hash codes of the administrator, the guest, and whatever general user. General user John was who we were targeting. What I attempted to do was grab his, was crack his hash code by using a website called crackstation.net. Unfortunately, Crackstation wasn't working, and oops, let's go back. Like I said, Crackstation wasn't working very well, so because it wasn't working, I hope it didn't just, okay, cool, I didn't ruin my shell. All right, Crackstation wasn't working. It was giving me a pain in the butt. So there is another option using John the Ripper. There are plenty of other options. One that the tutorial walkthrough is going to have us do is John the Ripper. For the purpose of this exercise, I would like to call it an end and just say thank you for watching. I'm going to go ahead and terminate my machine. It's been really, really cool. And the service I'm using is tryhackme.com. This website is phenomenal for any penetration tester, any security analyst, anybody who's interested in cybersecurity. There's pathways that you choose. It reminds me of the intro to security course I took 2 years ago with Professor Pearson, who had us go through the, I believe it's certified ethical hacking with InfoSec learning. And it's pretty much very similar to that, except this is free and it does have paid services. But my goal this semester basically was to run through one of these, which right here, this is me, the complete beginner pathway. And what you do is it gives you a broad introduction, different areas of computer security. We use Linux, web application security, network security, there's scripting challenges, and privilege escalation. The one that I just went through was Windows exploitation basics, and we did the blue room, deploy and hack a Windows machine, and here it is. So that is enough for right now. And I'm going to go ahead and let's see, I will stop sharing if I realize how to do it. Okay, there we go. So for the purpose of right now, this is my first video, CIS 298 special projects. This is an example of my special project in security, understanding vulnerability analysis, understanding recon, privilege escalation, and understanding how to use vulnerabilities to actually gain access to a target system. Thank you. Have a good night.